stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone to the March meeting of the Irondequoit Zoning Board of Appeals. Before we get underway with the matters on our agenda, I want to go over a few administrative details. First off, the fire exit is located to your left. In the event of a fire, you will be notified by an announcement. If so notified, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the exit. Do not use the elevator. Use either the north or the south stairs to leave the building. The meetings are being recorded by our secretary, Donna, tonight for the purpose of a record and the sum and substance of comments, not for a verbatim transcript. In order to help Donna keep track of who's talking and saying what each time you come to the microphone, please speak clearly into the microphone and identify yourself with your name and your address. We follow the items on the agenda in the order in which they appear on the agenda. There are extra copies of the agenda available on the table near the door. The way it works is that the case gets called, the applicant or their representative comes to the podium, identifies themselves, states their address, pauses a moment, raises their right hands. They're sworn to tell the truth, and then they present their case. During the presentation of their case, the members of the board have the opportunity to engage in discussion or ask questions of the applicant. When that process has been concluded, we open the case to public input. We've identified 3 categories of public input during the time I've been on the board. The first that we ask are those who wish to speak in favor of the application. And if there's more than one of you, if you just line up along the side wall there and come up when the first person ahead of you finishes. Then we take input from the people who wish to speak in opposition to the application and follow the same process. And then we take input from those who aren't either for or against the application but want to talk to us about something that relates to the application. Sometimes we get discussions about fences or corner lots or things like that. Once that those 3 categories have been concluded, the applicant then is given a chance to address any questions or comments that were raised during the public input portion. The public input portion, I should mention, relates to the comments are addressed to the board, not to the applicant. Everything is directed to the board. There's no interaction between the people who are here to observe and the applicants. Once that's concluded, then we close the case, move on to the next case. After we've heard all the cases on the agenda, we take a short break. We come back from the break and we deliberate on the cases in the order in which they appear on the agenda and for which the applicant or their representative is still present. So if the first applicant on the agenda has left, and the second applicant is here, we would take the second case first, and then we work our way down the agenda in the order that the applicants are still present, and then we go back to the top and take care of the cases in the order they appear on the agenda for which the applicants have left. During that portion of the meeting, there's no opportunity for public input unless the board requests it. If you don't wish to stay to observe the deliberations, which you're welcome to do, you can feel free to either catch it on TV or you can call the Zoning and Planning Department tomorrow morning after 9 a.m. and they will be glad to tell you what our decision was. Before we get underway tonight, I want to welcome Sean Hart as a member of our board. Very nice to have you with us. And I think that we're ready to get underway.
Do you want to mention the case that's not going to be heard?
Oh, yes, thank you. If anyone's here with respect to the 4th case on the agenda pertaining to 930 Rock Beach Road, the town attorney has determined that that plan complied with the ordinance and therefore no variance is required. So If you were here to address that case, you're welcome to stay, but we're not going to be addressing that tonight.
Thank you. Case ZB 2020-03-1. Upon the matter request by Donna Ontario for an area variance to install a concrete parking pad in front yard exceeding maximum permitted driveway square footage on premises 112 Somerville Drive in a C business district.
Hi, I'm Donna Ontario. Do I raise my right hand now?
Your address?
I reside at 520 Hellendale Road.
You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
So I own the property at 112 Somerville Drive since 2009. There is no driveway there during the months of November through April 1st. My tenant is not permitted, or no one's allowed to park in the front yard. And since 2009, there had not ever been an issue, and currently she's been ticketed quite often. There is no driveway. You can't park on the street. There's no parking garage there. Can't park on St. Paul, and you can't park on the other adjacent area. I noticed that the neighbor next door has a parking pad. I think, do you have pictures of it? If not, I could pass. I did a blow-up one if you want to pass that around.
I think we have,
You have pictures? Okay.
we don't have pictures of the neighbors. We have picture that we received an email
Pass
from
that around.
a Dwight Jenajon, who attached some pictures of cars and sent an email in opposition to your request. And one of the pictures on the front was the picture of the steps and the area where you want to put the pad.
Right, and unless the board has another suggestion of where this person could park her car, I don't know where.
Well, I don't, in looking at it, I don't see that a pad is enough room for a car.
Well, we measured it, it's enough for her car, and that would be it. I don't know of any other suggestions where a person could park a car. If I would have known that you can't park on the street, I would not have purchased the property. I don't know where people are supposed to park. Do you have any suggestions?
Do I? No.
Yeah.
I think the place that you want to put the pad is the only place
Correct.
that you could possibly even think about it.
All right, I tried to look at other alternatives, and I could not see where else she could park her car.
Yeah, all of the properties down there have very limited parking.
Correct. I think 112 and the one next door to me are the only two that does not have a driveway. And in front, they put a pad in front, and he has a motorcycle. I know that the tenants before that had a vehicle, so I'm assuming that's where they parked.
Anybody have any questions?
Are you taking the front stoop out and everything else? I mean, I physically don't know how a car's going in there. If she's got a small car now, what happens
Yeah.
if somebody comes with a truck?
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
don't know what to,
it's enough for a medium-size, vehicle. At least I'm offering some alternative for the tenant from November to April. There is no parking garage in the area. You can't park on the street.
yeah, I know.
So I don't know where else. I'm open to suggestions. I really am. I don't know what else to do. And as far as the complaint, I am so sorry. This tenant's been there since 2016. This is the first complaint that I have gotten, and I wish I would have known it. I will be addressing it, by the way, but this is not the forum to address it, I don't think, unless you want me to address it.
Would there be anything with DPW plowing, because the edge of the rain culvert's right there, I mean,
It would go right up to the,
Yeah, so DPW would actually be issuing a right-of-way permit for work in the right-of-way where the property line meets town right-of-way. I know that this application was referred over to DPW, and we didn't hear a response, one way or the other, but no negative, feedback in terms of not being permitted. We can certainly, I can verify, we didn't get a response on any limitations or concerns that they had.
I'd be interested in hearing their point of view myself. I mean, I don't know how they plow down there.
Right.
Very difficultly.
It's very narrow.
Yeah.
This photograph that came around, is this your property or adjoining property?
That's the neighbor next
the
door.
neighbor's
That's
property, okay.
exactly what I was gonna do the same. I wanted to maintain the uniformity of the neighborhood.
Okay.
I didn't wanna,
Do they sit back any further than you? I don't remember when I was there. Does their house sit back further, or is it the same even with
I
yours?
think it's about the same. I think it's about the same. I mean, she did park in front, and I told her, you can't do that. It's not, you can't park on your front lawn in Arundecoit.
You know,
So her car did fit
is there another exit out of that house?
the back.
Right.
Yeah,
If my other concern is for fire, that they're gonna be right up against the door.
Yeah.
oh, there's enough room, the pad is big enough to go out the
11
front
feet,
door.
when you try to get a car in there, it's
Yeah.
gonna be awful tight. That's why I was wondering about the culvert. You know, if their tires are on it and they come to plow, there could be an issue.
Right, but I just don't know where are they supposed to park? I mean, and she has 3 adults, children in there, so they can't even park there.
They got 3 adult children
They have
with
3
cars.
adult children, so they're only permitted to have 1 car there. So,
And where do they park now? Just in the street?
apparently, according to the neighbors, they're parking in the street right now. So they're all getting tickets on a regular basis. So it's a concern. I'm open to suggestions. I don't know what else to offer.
Isn't there a park over there close by?
There is a park.
Has it got a parking lot?
I don't know.
I'm not
You mean
familiar.
the one down by the lake shore?
Spezio
Right in
Park.
Somerville, right by there. Isn't there?
Spezio Park.
Across.
And there's one parking there is when you get over all the way to Somerville.
Talking about the tennis courts?
Yeah.
Spezio?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fair distance
A little
away.
bit of a hike.
Yeah, it's, and she's, the tenant in there now is disabled. And that's like another issue. Her mother comes to help her in the evening. She has some serious issues. So that's been another concern, that she can't have people to come and help her and stay overnight because they have to move their vehicles during those months. So that's a concern.
Any other questions or comments? I mean, your house is, and the one next to yours, as I noticed, are the ones that I think are closest to the street in terms of setback.
Yes,
The others have a little more room. They're set back a little, so there's more
Correct.
room for a car, but, I mean, you practically are gonna have to move the car sideways to get it into that.
it's the only way to go is sideways. You can't go forward.
No, but I mean, push it in to place from the street.
Correct.
Well, from what I saw on the pad, there's very little room there.
Yeah, she's made it work, and that's the only other solution I could even think of doing there. Like I said, I've had it since '09, and I never had an issue until now.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the board? Yes, no? I thought you were getting ready to say something.
No.
All right.
I'm looking at these pictures of the cars parked while they're trying to plow, but when I was commissioner, highway superintendent, we used to have a tow truck, tow cars out of there. It's inconvenient for the residents, but it's safer for public safety.
Yeah, just when you buy a property, you think that you could park, there's no driveway, you think you'd park like you do in the city. You can park in the street, but you can't do that on Somerville.
Well, in the city, you'd have the alternate side parking.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
you don't even have that.
All right, so let's open it up to the public input portion. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Step right up.
My name's Katha Pattison. I live at 151 Lakefront, which is the last house on the right of Somerville Drive.
Okay, to the east?
Yes, on the same side of the street.
So it's 151 on the same side of the street as
It's
112?
151 Lakefront.
Oh, lakefront, okay, yes,
Okay,
okay.
so,
Could
but
you,
it's
can you
our
state your name?
driveway's on
Can you
Somerville.
state your name again? I missed it.
It's Katha Pattison. Katha. Donna does not come down there very often. She has no idea. This one woman has so many cars and so many people there. Half the time, if an ambulance or fire truck or anyone needed down the street, they could not get down it. Everyone on Somerville and some people on St. Paul have signed they are not for this. It'll just push one car up to the house, and all the rest of the family will be doing what they want to do. If you complain, you get cursed at, you get yelled at, we get told, I'll do what I want. There's more than one car problem, and this will not solve the problem.
All right, let me just address that. The problem, the application that's in front of us is
For one car.
for one car to put a concrete pad to be able to park a car in front of the house,
Right.
so that it's not parked on the street. In terms of the number of cars that are at the house, that's not an issue that's in front of the zoning board. The fact that the tenant there may have 4 or 5 people that come and that they are not cordial to the people who are trying to get in and out is unfortunately not something that we can address. We have an obligation under the state. The zoning ordinances are an exception to the right to own property and to do with your property as you wish. What saves zoning ordinances from being unconstitutional is that there are mechanisms for variances when the conditions that are set in the zoning ordinance make it impractical for a property owner to reasonably use their property. So from the standpoint of the application that's in front of us, yes, one car. There isn't room for more than one car. There's not room. I question whether there's room even for one car on the pad that she wants to put up, but there's no other place to park a car. And everyone else on the street has at least some place to park a car. There's driveways, and I saw that there were other people who'd put their cars off the road, but in front of the property. It might not be on a driveway, it might be on the grass, and putting aside the issue of whether or not that's something that's allowed, it appears that the other houses on the street have at least some ability to park a car. Some have the ability to park more than one, but she doesn't have the ability to park any without the pad. And so the question becomes, whether or not that creates a practical hardship. The criteria for evaluating a practical hardship are whether it will bring about a change to the character of the neighborhood, whether or not there are alternatives that would not require a variance, whether the request is substantial, what the effect on the physical or environmental conditions would be if it's granted, and whether the situation is self-created. So those are the factors that we have to address. I can appreciate and sympathize with having all those cars down there and the people who have them giving you grief about, you trying to point out to them that they're inconveniencing the people who do live there and all of that. But our job is simply to evaluate that pad for a car.
Yeah, I understand.
So
I don't.
I
see where a
apologize for
pad's
the
gonna help,
limitations.
but I appreciate your time and I appreciate your explaining it
Yes, and
very much.
I had the same problem when I went. I've been there twice to look at it, and had trouble negotiating even when it wasn't snowy and
Right.
there weren't a lot of cars parked on the street. So
Yeah.
I understand and sympathize with your concerns.
Okay, and
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes, sir. Step right up. There you go.
Good evening. My name's Scott Pattison. I live at 151 Lakefront.
I think we just heard from your wife.
You're right.
All right.
No, I was going to answer a question. You were concerned about the DPW. It was twice this year that the snowplow couldn't get down the street. Having a vehicle next to a house during an emergency, fire, be it a neighbor's, whatever, they're so close together, fire jumps. So I do have a concern about the access to the structure if you have a car up against the door, basically.
The concern that I have though is where else would that car be? In the road,
Understood?
blocking the fire truck or the plow or the ambulance or whatever even more.
Right.
Even if it was only with one car. At least this application gives it the chance to get the one car off the road. May not be ideal, and it certainly could create a problem if there were a fire, I agree with you, but.
All right. Well, that about covers it. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, sir. Sorry we can't be, more helpful. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Is there anyone who'd like to talk to us about some aspect of this application without being for or against it, like putting concrete pads, parking cars in fronts of houses that don't have a lot of room, or how you plow a street that narrow or anything like that? All right, seeing none, did you want to address anything more? No. Okay, then we'll close the hearing with respect to that matter, and we'll move on to the next case on the agenda.
CB 2020-03-2, upon the matter of request by Skylight Signs, acting as agent for Bill Grays for an area variance to replace the existing pylon sign exceeding maximum square footage on premises 4870 Culver Road in a C Business District.
Hello, my name is Mike Bonanno, Skylight Signs. Our address is 60 Industrial Park Circle, Rochester, New York, 14624.
Good evening. Rich Maston from Bill Gray's, 964 Ridge Road, Webster, New York.
You both raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
We do? I do. Okay. We are here to propose a new sign in the location of the Seabreeze sign that's currently existing. I believe you have drawings. I do have a really large printout, but I suppose since you all have drawings, you don't necessarily need one, do we?
Would you
Okay.
like to put it up for the TV audience? You open up that cabinet that's on the wall there, there's a way to put it, and then the, we have a portable mic if you want to go over, and reference it. You can use the portable mic so everybody can hear and it'll get broadcast.
All right. Well, basically, the key here is to change this antiquated sign that's currently existing at the Seabreeze location. We're proposing to actually just use the space in between. The protrusions on the 3 foot over here is going to go away, and the 3 foot extending over the top will be going away, and basically just going to be utilizing the space that's currently existing. The sign is getting old, and we just want to try to maintain the look that all the rest of the Bill Grays and Abbotts are doing throughout the rest of their new locations. And that's basically my conversation at this point, unless you have any questions. As far as, well, let me continue. As far as square footage goes, we're really not 100% sure on what you would consider square foot, but when I squared this off, that most do is like 132 square feet of sign. This is really only going to be 108 square feet of sign. So we're hoping to use less of a footprint. And as far as the illumination goes, some people would say, well, is it going to be too bright for the neighbors? Well, in actuality, it'd be less bright. you've got more of opaque surfaces over here where basically you're only going to see tap room through there, so only the white will show, as opposed to here where the entire thing was illuminated. Same thing here with this Abbott's down here. You have a more opaque color, and the light doesn't protrude through that light color like it does through the reds that are already currently there. So really, you're just going to see Abbott's, and you really will see hardly any light at all around the brown of the Abbott's. Bill Gray's will illuminate nicely, but it won't be as rich in red as this is. Red is kind of bright and brilliant. This will be absorbed, and the Bill Gray's is a burgundy color, which is more opaque than the current red that they have there now. So hopefully that'll address the illumination issue.
So what you want is a variance from the square footage requirement to put up a sign that's less square feet than the one that's there now that's previously been approved or allowed to stay.
That is my intent.
Okay.
And you're gonna take off the world's greatest cheeseburger sign part?
That is correct, even though we know that that's true.
I was gonna ask that.
For the TV audience, of course.
Absolutely.
And it's basically gonna be the same height except for those protrusions.
It'll actually, yes, it'll be lower because you're going to be getting rid of that peak at the top and getting rid of the point at the in the right.
And just for the board's clarity, we had no record of a prior variance granted for the sign, which is why, given the change, we have them coming. So even though it's less of what's there,
I think I heard him say that the sign was put up 40 years ago.
I didn't say that, but I would imagine. Rich, do you know anything about the timing of that?
I thought I heard somebody say the 40-year-old sign. Oh, it was in your letter that the sign had been there 40 years, and this one would last the next 40 years. So it'll take us to 2060.
That would
I
be
think
great.
in the
I won't be on the board then.
I hope to be retired.
never say never, Jim.
No. That one I'm pretty sure of. So that would have been 1980. Was the sign ordinance in effect in 1980?
It may have been. The other item is that some of the additions to the sign happened, in more recent time, and so it's possible that the overage or the assumption was that it was okay to grant the permit. So at any point, since there's a wholesale replacement happening of the entire, frame, the frame section of the sign, determined it would be in everybody's best interest to have the variance in place before proceeding.
If I'm recalling correctly, this is less square footage than the signs that we've approved on Ridge Road.
That is correct.
Okay. Just wanted to check that. All right. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Seeing none?
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
are you gonna use the existing frame and just cut it down and put these signs on, or are you putting a new sign, totally new sign?
We're going to be ripping down the structure
Okay.
that you see here, all of it down to its steel poles. If you look at the rendering to the upper right, you'll see that there's two black lines. Those represent the poles that are existing. All the wood frame will go. That's where those poles sit, and if you can see that they're a little off center. So that's why we're proposing this skirt here, so that it'll make it look symmetrical. Whether or not we utilize the skirt is really not part of the sign, but we just wanted to try to make it look like it wasn't an accident.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm sorry.
No problem. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll open it up to public input. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Step right up.
I just have to take a peek because this is the first time seeing it. So, hi, I'm Maeve Muckantilla. I live at 4879 Culver Road, across the street from Bill Gray's. And You mentioned something about the sign meaning, there's bigger signs on Ridge Road. Well, Ridge Road's a business district. We're in a mixed neighborhood, as you know, down in Seabreeze. So this sign seems a little bit too big and gaudy. And personally, I think retro's cool these days. And you got, your slogan on there still, the old sign. Also, you didn't mention, currently right now, there's 2 nice crabapple trees on either side of that sign. So they didn't mention if they're going to be torn down, taken down.
That's
So-
not subject to the zoning board's.
No, it isn't, and I can't, I see them in the aerial photo that was attached.
Yeah, there's
Far
just,
away from the sign.
yeah. No, well, they're
Looks like they're
framing
about,
the sign.
looks like they're about 3, if I'm getting them right, they're about 3 parking spaces away from the sign on either side.
Maybe they're a little closer. I don't know. I'm just curious if those would have to come down to build this new sign. But
We'll ask them about that.
yeah, I was just curious. It's just, I know I get the point. They want a brand. They've got a brand. They've definitely got a brand. Bill Gray's has a brand, but they've already got the big sign on the big building, and I just don't see that this would really fit in our neighborhood. It's just a little bit too big. Like I said, the other one's retro, kind of with the neon and everything, looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. This one really doesn't.
So you would prefer that they leave the signs there now, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to this application? Step right up.
Hello, my name is Lynn Ann Conroy. I live at 4883 Culver Road, so I'm also across the street. My biggest concern, and similar to Maeve, is just that I prefer to see the sign that remains, because that's, when we bought the house, that was what was there. And I'm concerned about the light. I know he said that it's probably going to be less, but the size of it makes me feel like it would be more. And as it is now, those lights do come into our houses. Like, even when they put the parking lot, they changed that, we still have all that light coming into our house at night. So that's my biggest concern, is the light coming in. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about signs, lighting, anything like that? Who has the world's greatest cheeseburger, anything? Seeing none? Did the applicants wish to address any of the comments?
Yes, thank you for your comments. I believe we are located in a business district right now. It may be a mixed use, but I believe our property is business district. The trees on either side of the sign, those will not be torn down. What we do is we trim them every year just for making the property look good. I just wanted to share that with the audience. And as far as the new sign compared to the old sign, we did some research on the old sign, and though it may look good from years ago, it's in need of major repair. Not only the sign, but also the wood structure that's holding the sign. And it's a little bit of an upkeep nightmare when you're working with old signage. And it just makes sense to go ahead and invest the money on a new sign that's actually smaller footprint than what we have there. And that's all I have for the board, unless the board has any additional questions for us.
I don't think so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll close the case with respect to that application and move on to the next item on our agenda.
ZB 202003-3, upon the matter of request by Natalie Sardisco for an area variance to install 6-foot-high fencing with less than required setback on a corner lot on premises 87 Catalpa Road in an R1 residential district.
Hi, Natalie Sardisco, 87 Catalpa Road.
You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
So we're asking permission, so our house is on the corner of Grant Place, which is just a pass-through street with 4 driveways. And we are asking permission to put a fence closer to the bushes. So the bushes are not on our property line. They were there when we moved in. They're probably like 6 feet right now, though, not 7, because we cut them back significantly at the end of the fall. But so we just want to put the fence as close to the bushes as we can to just keep that property nice in between, because otherwise there's going to be an awkward space between the bushes and the fence.
So what you're looking for is to put the fence right on the property line,
Yes.
as opposed to 3
Yes,
feet off.
versus a setback. Yeah, sorry about that. Yep.
And if you complied with the 3-foot setback requirement, there'd be a no man's land between the fence and the bushes.
There would be, yes.
It would cut down on the space you'd have to use in your backyard, right?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Questions?
That's my line. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, on the bushes there, do you maintain them now, or does the town, they're on town property, right?
Which
They're on
we've never really thought about, but yeah, my husband maintains them.
Okay, all right. I mean, would he still take
Oh,
care
of
of them,
course,
even
yeah.
though there's a fence up there?
Yes.
The town doesn't send somebody out to trim the bushes?
We do not. Likely what happened is often we find that former property owners plant trees and shrubs and things that look really beautiful in their lawn only to discover they planted them in the town's right of way. And I suspect, given where and how these were planted, that's probably the case.
Probably. But you'll keep maintaining them, even despite the fence.
Especially if we get to put it right on our property line.
Okay, all right.
Works for me.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll open this up to public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Step right up.
Hi, Lindsay Natal. I live at 104 Catalpa, like across the street from her. So, I just wanted to say the 3-foot variance really wouldn't make much sense to us. We have an enclosed porch at our house, which we sit on constantly. And with the way they maintain their bushes, and they are so high, it's not like you'd really even be able to see the fence. And I did talk to, after we got that postcard in the mail, a few of the other neighbors that live right in our, I don't know, like our close circle of houses right there. And none of them mind either, because you're really...
Grant Avenue District?
What?
You said your close circle. That would be the Grant Avenue District?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, so we just talked to a few other people, and nobody really minds. I mean, the bushes, they really are well maintained. I wish they would maintain my backyard as well. But you're not even going to be able to see the fence realistically. So whether it's like the 3 feet out or the 3 feet on the property line, as a neighborhood viewing standpoint, it's not like it would be an eyesore. That's all I have.
Okay. Oh, I did have one more question for the applicant that I didn't think of.
Switch.
Your letter says that you're gonna put a 6-foot wood fence. What
Yes.
kind of wood fence? Is it gonna be
Pressure
like-
treated, probably the dog ear. We haven't fully debated on the wood, but we do it, a quality fence.
Would it be a solid fence, not open board and batten or anything like that?
Right, yeah, a solid fence.
And not like a stockade fence?
No.
Okay. Every time I see a stockade fence, I think of, what was that Western show? I can't think of it now. The Fort. Corporal Ahon.
We won't do a fence like that.
Yeah. All right.
F Troop.
F Troop, yes. F Troop, that's it.
We're dating ourselves.
We are, but that's okay. All right, we'll close the hearing with respect to that case, and we will take a 5-minute recess. We will reconvene at 7:45. Somerville is still with us. And yeah, it looks like the Bill Gray's folks left. So 87 Catalpa, 87 Catalpa still here? Yes. Okay. All right. So the first item for us to consider tonight is the application relating to 112 Somerville Drive. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application?
I'll move that we approve it as applied. I don't think it's going to disrupt the character of the neighborhood. There's similar pads on houses nearby. As much as I hate to add impermeable surface anywhere in the town, there really aren't any alternatives. The situation isn't self-created beyond purchasing of the property. You know, the street is as narrow as it is, regardless, and there's no driveway. I'm interested to hear back from DPW as far as environmental or physical impacts. I don't know if that's something that bears weight on this, or if that's something that could I'm curious what that process looks like. If these are two separate, processes and approvals, if the board was to approve the application, would it be pending DPW approval? I'd be curious.
So if you don't mind, I'll interrupt and answer that question. So the Commissioner of Public Works is in charge of and has discretionary decision making with respect to issuing 199 right-of-way permits. So this board granting a variance doesn't negate the 199 permit process. So if there was any modifications to design that they saw fit, they would impose those. And if to the extent that that might affect or change the variance that's granted, if they wanted something different entirely, that might render the applicant needing to, or the owner to come back to this board with a new idea. But you can navigate the zoning, variance process. The issuance of the 199 permit is under the purview of the Commissioner of Public Works. So they'll be looking for those types of things as far as design.
Could we make a condition of the granting, the lack of objection from DPW?
I think it's by virtue of DPW, if they had any objections, wouldn't issue a permit to them.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah, overall, I think, I grew up in the area, and I'm sympathetic to the parking situation there, and it's tight. So, yeah, I move that we approve it as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion?
You need to put the one letter of opposition into the minutes.
Oh, we mentioned it during the case. We did receive a email from Dwight Jenajon with some pictures, who was opposed to the granting of the variance, and he in the email brought up some of the same concerns that were raised during the public input portion of the hearing in relation to parking, multiple cars, parties, that kind of thing. So yes. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 7 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions, nobody's absent. The board is fully constituted. Say that I hope that when we have our April meeting, that it's as warm as it is for our March meeting. All right, the next item on the agenda for determination is the application pertaining to 87 Catalpa Road. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application?
I'll make a motion that we approved the application as presented. It's possible change to the character of the neighborhood. It's actually a small consolidated place. It's not a substantial request. It's very hard with side lots and a house and your garage is on the other side. I don't think it'd have any physical or environmental effects if granted. And the situation is self-created. Yeah, but that's what the property was when they bought it. So to use the property to their best advantage.
Second. You gotta get in there.
I was waiting for Jim
What?
to say something.
No, I was looking at you. I thought you were going to say.
Well, I was gonna say something, but I thought you had to say something for me
I
to
can
say
second
something.
the next. All those
I can
in
let
favor
Travis
say
in.
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 7 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions, nobody's absent. We are fully constituted. Good luck. The last item on the agenda is the application pertaining to the Bill Grays at 4870 Culver Road. This is also a type 2 action. Mr. Trevis, did you want to make a motion?
I will make a motion that we grant the application as written, based on the following facts and findings. It's not going to change the character of the neighborhood, just due to the fact that there was a pre-existing sign there, and the way that the applicant described the lighting. Essentially, it's not going to change the character of the neighborhood. A couple of the residents did bring up the lighting. But the way that the applicant described the illumination and how it was going to be opaque.
I also understand it's going to go before the planning board, who will, right?
That is correct. So
make appropriate recommendations about how lighting is cast and how long they stay on and that kind of thing.
Right. It's not going to be, there's a lot of other signs that businesses have throughout, even right on Culver Road, all the way up to Eastridge Road, as we had mentioned. it's not self-created, as it's a business and they have a brand and they want to. They've been there a very long time. I remember going there as a kid myself, so it's been around for quite some time. And it's not going to change the character of the neighborhood.
Second?
All right.
Brad.
Brad seconded. All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 7 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. Nobody is absent. We are still fully constituted. Along with the packets of applications for tonight's meeting, I believe everyone also received the draft of the minutes for the January meeting and the February meeting. So taking up the minutes for January 1st, I would move that we approve. Well, did anyone have any additions or corrections or changes to make to the minutes of the meeting? Seeing none, I would move that we approve the minutes as prepared of the January 6th meeting of the board.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Hart abstains because you weren't here. So that motion carries 6 votes in favor, no opposed, 1 abstention. Nobody is absent. We are still fully constituted. And last but not least, we have the minutes from the February 3rd meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as prepared? Seeing none, I'll move that we approve the minutes of the February 3rd meeting. Is there a second? Second.
Second again.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
1 abstention.
1 abstention?
2.
Actually, 2 abstentions. Mr. Hart and Mr. Scott. So that motion carries 5 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. Nobody's absent, or we had 2 abstentions and no absentees. We are all still fully constituted, except I may not be fully constituted. We will, we are adjourned. See everyone back here in April, hopefully.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Irondequoit Zoning Board on ICAT Government Access. We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Irondequoit Zoning Board on ICAT Government Access.